So I've travelled today to CTPE in Mildenhall in Suffolk. I'm with Alex Taylor. The company has recently purchased this Biglia machine that you see behind me here, which is a Y-axis sub-spindle machine. The reason for the purchase is the uplift in orders as a result of being involved in the medical sector. Alex, I mentioned that you just purchased this machine because of your involvement in the medical industry, but really it goes beyond that, doesn't it? You wanted a machine that was going to give you much more productivity on maybe bigger components.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, that's why we selected the Biglia. So it gave us the best balance of doing bar work and then also larger billet work that it can handle as well.
And maybe could you talk us through, for those that don't know this particular model, what the B620 is? I mentioned it's got twin spindle and Y-axis, but maybe talk us through its capacity in terms of sizes of parts it can handle.
Yeah, so it's a single turret, twin spindle, like you said. It's a 70mm main spindle bar capacity, very, very powerful machine. It's capable of turning parts up to 620mm in length.
And you had the option of either having 12 tools or 15 tools on the turret on this machine. Was it simply the fact that there's more tools you went for the 15 station?
Yeah, definitely. More tool capability. It just helps in every way. It helps with complex parts, and it also helps with, keeping tools set up so that they're available for lots of different jobs, so we don't have to keep changing over.
And how long is this machine running, Alex? I mean, it's obviously working away in the background here. You got a lot of work for it?
Yeah, we certainly do. It's been running somewhere between about 12 to 15 hours a day since the machine's been installed and up and running.
And what are you demanding out of it? Parts that are being complicated parts or just tight tolerance components?
It's a reasonably tight tolerance aluminium connector part we're making on here for the medical industry. And yeah, I mean, the machine is brilliant. It copes really well, with running throughout the day unmanned. Requires very little intervention throughout the shift.
And the parts you're making on here, you were making before, but with what's gone on with the COVID-19, you've obviously had an uplift in orders there. Is this machine now just taking that work and making it a lot quicker, making higher volumes? Was that what you wanted?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the machine is producing a component that we've made for around probably 10 to 15 years, but the volumes currently, due to the pandemic, are sky high. We're producing sort of 5 times the amount that we were. We've been shipping 600 parts a week, every week since the start of April, and that's going to continue all the way through until September, most likely.
So how were you making them before?
Yeah, so before we had a single turret machine again, but without a sub spindle, and the part was having to be made in 2 separate operations, which obviously makes the part more time consuming because the second operation has to be loaded by an operator, whereas with the Biglia, we've got bar coming in one end and finished parts coming out the other.
Did you ever have a risk of scrapping components doing it the other way? Did you ever find mistakes were made along that journey?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the margin for error is a lot greater when you're handling a component more than once. So the Biglia is making them not only faster and complete, but more accurately and more consistently, and also the parts coming off fully deburred, whereas before, after the second operation, they still required some hand finishing for the deburring, whereas now we don't have to touch them. They're completely finished.
So what are the critical factors in the part that you're making? And I know we can't obviously see it because of, it's under a contractual agreement that you have with your client, but yeah. What are you chasing? Tight tolerances, good surface finishes? What are those aspects of this part that make that this Biglia is coping with ideally?
Yeah, so we've got some pretty tight tolerance features on the part. There's some diameters that are plus or minus 10 microns, and there's a ball there that's reamed H7 tolerance. But the Biglia maintains its size throughout the shift really well. Once it's warmed up and stable, the machine gets left for 10 hours sometimes without any intervention, and it holds size brilliantly. Yeah.
And how much difference has the Y-axis made for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, the part's got many milled features on there, so obviously without the Y-axis we wouldn't actually be able to make this component as the way we do it now.
So with that Y-axis then, before, were you doing any milling on the milling machines as well, or was it all being done?
No, we had a Y-axis turning centre previously, but obviously without the sub-spindle, so the part still wasn't finished when it came off, whereas now the Biglia's getting that done complete.
And is it advantageous to you to have a machine that's got a powerful sub-spindle and a C-axis on the sub-spindle as well, to be able to control your planning?
Yeah, definitely. Some machining centres, turning centres don't have the full interpolated C-axis on the sub-spindle, only on the main, and then that can give you limit on what you can do on the sub-spindle, whereas this, we've got a full C-axis on both spindles, and yeah, there's no limit. There's no limit on what we can do on the front end versus the rear end of the part.
How do you program it, Alex? Are you doing that offline?
A bit of both. We do some offline programming, and also for some simpler parts we do at the control.
And what about the FANUC control on here? This is a touch screen. Looks quite a modern and versatile system.
Yeah, this is the new FANUC iHMI OI controller. We're still getting used to it at the moment, but it's proven to be a very user-friendly interface.
And the handling of the parts, Alex, when they come off the machine, was that a factor? I mean, you've got to take the part out, the parts catcher onto the conveyor. If you're looking to maintain those crisp surface finishes without any damage, you've got to have a good system there.
Yeah, I mean, we specifically specified the parts conveyor you can see down there, because I think the standard machine just comes with a bin on the door, and now obviously you get a lot of accumulation as you're leaving the machine running overnight. So we've got a nice slow output conveyor, and they drop into a nice padded box.
When you think about your relationship with Whitehouse Machine Tools, you've got brother machines in here. Would it be fair to say it was an influence in you buying this Biglia, or did you buy this machine based on the Biglia brand as opposed to what Whitehouse would offer you in support?
It was a bit of both. I mean, the Biglia machine, they're excellently built machines. I've been to the factory last year to see the machines under the sheet metal. I mean, the way they're put together and the components they use are top quality. You know, the Biglia really is a high-end machine. It competes right up there with the high-end Japanese makes. And after having visited the factory, it gave me every confidence that we were making the right decision by going for a Biglia machine.